Welcome to This Week in Crowder College, an in-depth look into how Crowder College students, faculty, and staff are working together so students soar to new heights, communities are impacted, and lives are changed. This Week in Crowder College is sponsored by the law offices of Wood and Peterson in Neosho, specializing in workers' compensation, personal injury, Social Security disability, and more. Learn more online at neoshoattorney.com. Now here's this week's edition of This Week in Crowder College.
Welcome to today's edition of This Week in Crowder College. I'm Ben Wolcott, joined by the head baseball coach over at Crowder, Travis Lallemand. And Travis, we're going to talk a little bit kind of a where are they now feature here today on the program. And obviously you've been a coach there for a really long time, and you've had lots of success there. And leading with lots of success means that you have guys that have made it to the major leagues. And, you know, I've been here since 2017. And the two guys that I can think of off the top of my head that maybe have the most notoriety around here in the last decade is Aaron Ashby. He was the one that first started when I was here in 2017, and then 2021 was Jacob Mizorowski. Just talk about their journey through Crowder, and then obviously all the success that they're having with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Sure. No, it's so exciting to watch those guys. We rarely miss a game when they're playing and things like that, because it's something that, you know, it doesn't come around, every day. Being Ashby and Miz, getting to see those guys go compete at the level they're competing at it's so exciting. And like I said, just to see, what they came here as, and obviously, the development side of things that was exciting to see, and both were completely different stories. Obviously Ashby was probably under recruited out of high school, and to see the jumps he made was absolutely astonishing. And then to see Miz, who was a Oklahoma State decommit, come in here, essentially missed 2 years of live pitching because of COVID, and then got hurt in 21, and to see the jump he made in 22 and really the fall of 21, just getting on the mound more, was awesome to get a front row seat to see those guys' development, and just proud of them and what they've been doing.
And it's kind of ironic. I'm sure you have become a Brewers fan just because of having two guys from Crowder College both being on the Brewers as well.
Oh, 100%. There was a text that went out, text Aaron, actually, Ashby, on his birthday, and a couple days later, obviously they were on a road trip or whatever, and he texted me back and said it's funny because some of the coaches were saying that for the St. Louis series, maybe they need to have us in the dugout, or have something along those lines, because last summer we went to Milwaukee and spent the weekend, or weekday, I guess, for the Dodgers series, and they swept the Dodgers 3-0 in that series. And I've known Pat Murphy for a long time. He was at Arizona State and what have you. And there's another coach that actually played at Neosho County on the offensive side and stuff like that. So it's been really cool following those guys. And there's a little bit of a personal connection there too, but we've befriended some people up there, and it's really cool to follow their success, but also the Brewers' success as well. So yeah, we've kind of been pseudo fans because of our guys playing there, for sure.
And I know with just all the success that Crowder has had, it's not just about those two. There have been other guys that have been able to make that jump to the pros as well.
Yeah, we've had, I know our first big leaguer, my first, I should say, that I coached was Mike Kickham. In 2013, he made his debut in Oakland, and my wife and I flew out there for that. He was pitching for the Giants in the base area, so it was kind of cool to see. And Jalen Beeks pitched here in 2012. He's kind of been a journeyman now with Texas, and a key piece to their bullpen. And Sam Hilliard was with the Colorado Rockies for quite a few years, went to the Braves and then back to the Rockies, and now he's in the KBO in Korea playing right now and putting on an absolute show out there. I see highlights all the time on our social media stuff from his family and things like that, and those are the guys that appeared in the big leagues. But there's several, and I don't want to miss anybody, but there's several that have been drafted and making their way up. I know James Hicks was a Double-A pitcher the at least organization. It's pitcher of the year, but I think it was just the organization with the Astros. Cody Adcock with the Reds, Riley Hunsaker with the Cubs, Clayton Gray with the Rockies, Dylan Carter with the Giants. I mean, there's just several of them out there that, it's such a tough climb to get to the big leagues. Those guys are just in the stages of the trenches, so to speak, of trying to get there.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it. I mean, ever since COVID, too, when they kind of axed some of those minor league teams, it makes it twice as hard to really get to the big leagues, but you got to give all those guys kudos, and, obviously there's still a chance for them to get to the big leagues here at some point. Looking at your kind of current crop of kids, what do you kind of anticipate going forward? Obviously, the success you have, that just helps them not only with their development, but it also helps them get noticed by those bigger schools, and then hopefully eventually able to go pro as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's what I'm down here in my basement area, which I have aptly named the war room, so to speak, with just recruiting on guys, and I've been on the phone pretty much the entire morning with schools for our guys to move on to, and we're recruiting in. What a lot of people probably don't understand about junior college is as well as obviously probably people around Neosho is there's 3 classes you're recruiting every year, and you're recruiting your classes in. So I'm recruiting a 26 class in, which we're done with essentially, recruiting a 27 class in and having visits, but you're also recruiting out your 25 class, which was your sophomores. And, that's the one thing in junior college that gets tricky. So a lot of phone calls, a lot of work, but well worth it at the end, because, when people see where our guys are going, it takes a little communication and a little things there, but it's well worth it. And I think that's how we're able to sustain the success we've had, is because, we're creating a good product and we're creating value for those kids to come here. And I think, sometimes that gets lost in the translation, but I think we need to, keep it student focused, athlete focused, and when you're that, you can create a lot of success for guys, and I think that's what we've been able to do.
Well, Travis, we obviously know how much success you've had. We wish you the best success throughout the next year here. As you said, it's summertime, but I've talked with enough coaches that recruiting, whether it be recruiting out, recruiting in, recruiting never ends. So we appreciate you taking a few minutes here today on This Week in Crowder College. And obviously, like we said, big congratulations to you with Aaron Ashby and Jacob Mizraski, but obviously also those other guys as well, because you had a pretty big impact on all of them.
Well, I appreciate it, and obviously always take time. I appreciate you guys and what you do for Crowder and the advertisement we get essentially from that, and always will take time to do so. So I appreciate the phone call as well, and looking forward to this season with this group as well.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay, thanks, man.
Thank you for listening to This Week in Crowder College. This Week in Crowder College is sponsored by the law offices of Wood and Peterson in Neosho. You can listen to this broadcast again by going online to kneo.org or to crowder.edu. Tune in once again next week for another edition of This Week in Crowder College on KNEO 91.7 FM.